This is the Business Stuff Podcast. This is where I will share the lessons I've learned from advising thousands of businesses over almost 30 years. Each episode will give you practical insight to allow you to learn from other people's mistakes. I'll be pulling in experts from our team and the world of business, and together we'll make sure your business is giving you what you want. My name is Martin, and this is the Business Stuff Podcast. Hi, it's Marty from the Accelerator team. I'm here today with Cal Halbert. Cal, how are you doing?
I'm very well, Marty. How are you?
I'm super.
Good.
So,
I've got me coffee. I spilt it before, and I did get rid of the tissue over there to make it look nice, but I've just eradicated the smoke screen that was there.
You've told everyone the thing that you didn't want people to see.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, I'm all right.
We're off to a good start. This is going to go to the script, I can tell already. Yeah. I feel like Wogan when he had Billy Connolly on or something like that.
Need somewhere to pout my bike, that sort of thing.
Let's see if we can. Yeah, we'll get the next bit out of the way. So as well as running Newcastle's longest running comedy venue, Cal's Comedy Club in Heaton, what else do you do? Do you want to give us a brief intro?
Yeah, absolutely. So I run Cal's Comedy Club at the Chillingham in Heaton, Newcastle. It's quite hard to book people for the Chili because I try and tell people that it's a pub called the Chili Arms, and they never think it's a real place. Yeah. And they go, well, I said, no, it's called the Chili Arms. And there's not a place called the Chili. I said, yeah, it is. Where is it? Central Heaton. Never goes down well. It's a nightmare.
They're doubling down on the job.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yes, I've run that. Personally, I've run it for nearly 10 years. But there's been comedy in that venue since the 80s, right. And you name it.
Since it was invented.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So
and the old comics there.
Yeah.
How dare he?
Yeah, exactly. You name it, everyone's played it. You know. So maybe not under me, but certainly in the past, you've had your McIntyres, your Sarah Millikins, you've had Reginald D. Hunter, you've had all these guys step on that stage.
Hallowed turf, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's well known on the comedy circuit, the Chili, and it's a pleasure to run. But it's also very, very stressful running that as well, because you go, I don't know if anyone's going to buy any tickets. You don't know if comics are going to turn up.
Roller coaster every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Find someone worth selling a ticket for, buying a ticket for, and then hoping they turn up. So,
yeah, exactly.
So because this is the connection you've got to most normal viewers, it is a business. You're running a business.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're wearing all the hats that any other business owner runs.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is that with gigs, long-standing gigs, there's a reputation with them, but then also over time, different promoters run them different ways.
Yeah.
You know, so
you can win and lose an audience quite quickly.
Yeah, very, very quickly. And I very, very lucky, and it's been very hard work that people now just come to the Chili because they trust my booking.
So they're not shopping around. They're not saying we'll find a club that first Thursday, I think.
First Thursday of the month, yeah. And what I'm talking about is customers coming in and audience members. They trust my booking. Yeah. They know, even if it's a comic they've never heard of, they know that they're going to be good. Whereas obviously, if I've got a bigger name like a Lost Voice guy or a Carl Hutchinson or someone with a bit of weight locally, like an Alfie Joey, who I know you've had on the show and stuff. Yeah. Obviously, ticket numbers will go up a little bit more then, but as a standard, I have a good core audience that keep coming back because they trust and respect my.
So that's quite interesting actually, because one of the things we talk about on the show, when people are running a business, certainly when they run it as a one-person business, it is hard because you're the sound man.
Yeah.
You introduce yourself.
Yeah.
You literally are your own fluffer, whatever the term is. That's the wrong term, isn't it?
My own warm-up act. How about that? Yeah. I don't think fluffer's right.
You big yourself, like, welcome to the stage.
Yeah, very true.
It's you.
Yeah.
You've done the sound, you've done the posters, you've put the social out, you've run every part of it, haven't you? And one of those things, of course, that anyone in business has to do is they have to find an audience.
Yeah.
I know it's literally an audience for you, but your customer base, your fans out there, And you've got to make sure you keep a consistent delivery of performance and service, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. And
quite
you've
literally
also,
for you, but figuratively for business.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also in an era. So my business pretty much shut down through COVID. There was no way of doing live comedy or anything like that. So not only do I have the comedy club, but I'm a stand-up comedian in my own right, a comedy impressionist, and I do voiceovers and present different things as well.
Yeah.
So voiceovers and presenting is what I heavily relied on through lockdown.
Because people were still advertising on TV, radio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you do radio station jobs from your home and my office. I was very lucky that I had my own office and things like that, and we could work through it. But after lockdown, and we are still feeling it now, people are still scared to come out the house. And they're still scared to sit in an enclosed room to watch comedy. You may be sat there at home thinking, well, that's ludicrous, but it really is still there.
If so, you're not talking about them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But there are absolutely people that are too scared to come back out.
You still see people in the street the odd time with a mask on.
Yeah.
They're probably not going and sitting in a room full of 80 to 100 people. Are they?
Exactly, and they could very well have been huge fans afterwards as well.
Right.
But then also the audience has changed, because for 2.5 years they were used to watching comedy on telly. That was the only comedy they could get, or on a YouTube feed. So they'd go, "Oh, that was funny, wasn't it? Yeah, that was really funny." That was so they're talking constantly through your sets, where you're going, you're not supposed to talk when laugh. Absolutely, do you know what I mean? But they forget that it's not the telly anymore.
That's interesting.
So the audience mindset has changed, and also within the first few weeks of us lifting lockdown and coming back out, every gig was a bear pit. Every single one was just shouting matches against people, because...
Was that because people hadn't had a proper drink?
They haven't had a proper drink for ages. Yeah, so you got it and you were like, yeah...
It's like a rugby scrum every time.
I do get it, but you go, how are you, lads? Okay, let's calm it down a little bit now.
That's interesting. That's it. Yeah, because we've not had anyone on from entertainment really, or even anyone from, I don't know whether you just call it hospitality as a wider subgroup, but we've not had anyone, like, we all know that restaurants, pubs, cafes had to swap to deliveries only, and then welcomed people back and had to give more service. But it's interesting. So you've almost had 3 iterations. You had pre-lockdown, you had lockdown where nothing happened, and then it didn't come back normal. No, it didn't come back normal, and also social media is so saturated with comedy. So saturated, and it's a good thing and a bad thing. You've got comedy everywhere, and this means that guys that aren't necessarily well known are now selling really well. Because they've built their own audience.
Yeah, I mean, there's a comedian called Jeff Innocent who lives in London, and he is a sensational comedian. Absolutely brilliant comedian. Everybody knows he's a brilliant comedian on the circuit, and have known he's been a brilliant comedian for 20 odd years. No one knows who he is. Yeah. But now...
Because he never got the nod for the Apollo or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. But now he's built up on TikTok, and people are coming to see him and enjoying him because they go, he's brilliant. And we're all stood there going, we know.
Yeah,
do you know? But your social media for the promotion of the comedy club, you've got to be really careful with over posting about it, because it's the same image over and over and over again. You go, this is rubbish. And what I've actually found is a bog standard mailing list is the most effective way for my comedy club.
Interesting this. We were at an event, we were at Atomicon. Do you know Atomicon?
I'm aware of it. I don't.
Mark walking in, So James and I were at Atomicon, and it was interesting how many people said social media is great, but it can go at any point.
Yeah.
A good old-fashioned mailing list is yours.
Yeah.
That's yours. You control it. You should maintain it, keep it healthy, and work it. Yeah. Because that's yours, and nobody can take that.
And people have signed up to it, and they want to be on my mailing list. They've
asked for it.
Yeah. It's not one of these ones where they forgot to click something, so they're stuck on it.
It's not you bought a car and you start getting Ford adverts every week.
Exactly. The only way you can join my mailing list is via an online form that you have inputted it itself, or you have entered a competition at one of my clubs for a chance to win 2 free tickets to come back. That's the only way you can join my mailing list.
So all of the 8 people on there have signed
But it has taken years to build up, and it's got a few hundred on it, which is great. But they are a few hundred core audience to me.
Because you're only trying, I don't mean only in a bad way, but you're trying to sell 80, 90, 100 tickets, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you've got 240 who 1 in 3 will buy a ticket, or even if it was 1 in 6, you've got a great.
Yeah.
You're out the gate flying.
100%, and also
you probably couldn't cope with a couple of thousand people on.
No, I probably couldn't, But the algorithms of social media changes all the time. So you could buy a social media for dummies or whatever it is that you want and watch a video. Within 2 weeks, it's out of date. It's all changed again.
Doing it better,
they found a different way to get it better.
Especially in comedy, it's quite easy to. You're by necessity, you're risking those edges of conversation, aren't you?
Yeah.
And it could be quite easy to go, oh, we don't like them.
Yeah.
Happens quite a lot. Yeah.
Of course it does. Yeah. But whereas the mailing list, people are signed up, they open. And if they come, I only really put out 1 a week maximum. That's all I put out, if that.
So you're not pestering people?
No, it's if that. If it's selling okay, I'm not pestering people. You know, if I'm sitting okay, we're okay. It's tomorrow, and we've got 4 tickets. Let's push it out, and it goes out. And I've also realised I've got a ludicrously good open rate on my mailing list.
Right.
Which I.
Do you, what just for the market nerds out there, what you're using MailChimp? Or?
I'm using MailChimp,
which literally tells you each campaign. It tells you the open rate, click rate.
Yep.
One of those things.
My opening rate is ludicrously high, and I thought I was doing something wrong because of it being so high. Why? Yeah, because most people have told me that anything between 10 to 30% is correct, whereas mine's usually between 67 and 80% open rate, which is ludicrous.
But it probably says more about the quality of the audience you built.
Yeah.
Because they've opted in rather than everyone's thrown in.
Yeah.
So I think we I could be wrong, James may know this, but I think we get about 50%. But again, most people have signed up for ours.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the difference.
We're not pitching comedy either, so I think 50 is all right.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And obviously the click rate's lower than that, obviously. Yeah. But I think the mailing lists got such a bad name because of the...
They're a bit old school, aren't they?
Yeah,
but still work.
But they work. And Eddie Izzard built their career on mailing lists.
Yeah.
There's a comedian called Stuart Goldsmith who does the Comedian's Comedian podcast. And I've seen him after gigs with 2 iPads waiting for people to sign up and do it.
Yeah.
Just get them in because they want to listen to you. And okay, I've been very, very lucky that on my personal social media page, the Cal Halbert Comedians like the page account, I've got over 10,000 followers and likes on that. But I don't get anywhere near that interaction. Yeah. Nowhere near. I've got 10,000 people that like that page. I've seen you
put posts out and they might have 20 or 30 likes, which
do you know what I mean?
Is actually quite poor as a comparison against your mail.
Yeah, whereas if I put a thing out on the mailing list and 75% open it, brilliant. That's all I want. That's it.
So that's interesting. So you touched on, because most people are sitting there thinking, well, surely marketing for a comedy club's got to be easier than trying to sell pipe connectors into Aberdeen or, they'll be thinking, oh, that's got to be sexier. It's got to be easier. But again, you're in such a crowded audience, again, aren't you? I don't know how many comedy clubs there are within a 50-mile drive, but there's a few.
There's loads. There is
more
loads.
than you would think.
Yeah, I would say it's more hard than pipe connectors in Aberdeenshire because people that want a pipe connector in Aberdeenshire, you'll find them. Do you know what I mean? You're going to find them and they're going to buy it. There we go. Whereas comedy, because there is so much, you're going to go to. Why is there Asda, Morrison's, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, M&S, Lidl, Aldi when they can all go to Morrison's?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's so we're all trying to fight for that same audience.
What's attention? You're fighting for attention.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going back to what I said earlier, the fact that people respect and trust my judgment of acts, they will come back to me. Because the fear that I always have is if someone turns up to my club and they have a bad time, that's their opinion of live comedy forever now.
Yeah, if that's their only example
that
of live
will tar
comedy,
the brush.
I don't like comedy.
That's it. And you go,
we get this quite a lot. Certainly older people or younger people that listen to the older generation. So in the Northeast, probably before your time, despite saying "however, man," you're not a Geordie. You're not a
I'm
Geordie.
not, no, plastic Geordie.
Yeah, people are probably wondering what this accent is. I still don't know. But yeah, so we had a lot of people for years going, I'd never do a pension, son. Old Joe lost his pension, but he had shares in Marconi, and Marconi went bust. You're like,
yeah.
That's not all pensions. That was one pen. So, like, people do like to clump things together, don't they?
Yeah,
you go, oh, no, comedy's not for me.
Yeah.
No, you mean the comedian wasn't for you.
The one comedian you saw, you just didn't like, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, you can go and find something else. There are so many different styles. I mean, you did mine and Alfie's course, and we went through all the different styles of comedians.
Different methods.
You've got...
You're not going to test it, I can't remember any of it.
But you know, you've got...
technically a bad student.
No, you weren't at all.
I'm not looking for compliments. I think I was funny, but I couldn't possibly tell you any of the technical stuff.
Good job there wasn't an exam. There we go. But you've got your one-liners, you've got your surreal, you've got storytelling, your observations, you know. And there are people that will... Not every comedian's going to be Peter Kay and Michael McIntyre doing these observations style that everyone likes. Not everyone's going to be Billy Connolly. There'll be people that will say, I love one-liners, but hate Jimmy Carr. Love one-liners, but hate Tim Vine. Yeah. And it's just there's different styles and different... It's comedy subjective, isn't it?
If you consciously try to place, you know, the tone of your business then, because, you know, I know we're talking about comedy, but hopefully anyone listening or watching can think, well, yeah, my business, I sell coats for chihuahuas. You know, like, why did he pick chihuahuas and why coats? And like, have you consciously honed what you do, or is it just what you like anyway? I'm wondering whether you played to an audience or whether...
as a comedian or the club?
Both, possibly? Yeah, maybe just answer it.
I suppose the answer is probably the same for both, actually, because as a comedian you learn to read the room. Yeah. You know, you learn to read the room.
It's working or it's not. It's quite instant, isn't it?
Exactly. And for example, there was a gig I did a couple of weeks ago in Stockton, and I was there and I was watching the compare, and they were swearing a lot when they were open, and they didn't like it. And they were going, you could see the audience tense up. Right. And I was looking at them going, right, okay, let's clean this act up. They don't want swearing. Go on. Whereas if they'd really gone and they were rough and ready audience that were enjoying the compare swearing and effing and jeffing at them, I go, right, I'm going to eff and jeff more. So you do, it's all people pleasing.
The thing about that though is the joke, the delivery of the joke might change, but the content and the topic of the joke hasn't changed, does it?
Yeah.
So you're still the same style, you're maybe just cleaner or bluer, whatever the
exactly,
or whatever the opposite is. But
you'd be bluer, and you might change the odd word that would
did you
mean
then
something.
Consciously, you know, the people you pick to come on then or work with is a good way to put it. Have you consciously picked, or do they just happen to be people you like? I like your comedy. I think people will like it.
Both. I only book people I like. I only book people that I get on with. I only book people that I have seen live and do well personally.
So you wouldn't take a punt unless
they're a well-known comic. Unless they've got a following and stuff like that. Yeah. But I am guilty of going, these guys are not my cup of tea, but I can get why people like them, and I will book them because it's best for business, you know.
Because ultimately it is a business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You've also got to think about the bookings that you do. So a standard comedy club for me is me hosting. We have one opening act. We have a guy doing a guy or gal doing a 10-minute slot, a newer act, new material. Then a 15-minute slot, which again is a newer act or more established doing new stuff. Then your headline act. But what I don't want is a one-liner to open, a one-liner to do a middle, a one-liner to do another middle, and then another one-liner to close. Yeah. You don't want that. And historically,
you're less likely to have an audience member who wants an evening of one-liners.
Yeah, exactly.
I find one-liners really enjoyable, but quite hard work.
Yeah, they're tiresome. You just go, not more. Do you know? It's
like a Christopher Nolan film. I like watching the odd one, but I don't want to have to sit and go, I can't keep up.
Exactly.
Sometimes you want to just watch You got all Western where you know who the bad guy is and the good guy is.
Yeah, exactly. So, and over time you learn where certain acts do better in certain places. So historically, one-liners don't do great in the opening slot. You want your one-liner in the middle or headlining. Your opener, you need someone more of a storytelling style. You need someone a bit more warm.
Take people on a journey.
Yeah, exactly. And also, as the compere, it's my job to see how far I can push the crowd, knowing who I've got on.
So you're almost testing for them.
Yeah, exactly. So if I have an act on that I think is funny, but I know they're very, very sweary, I would start swearing more throughout the night. So every other word.
It doesn't stand out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting.
So you've got to be that leveller as the compere.
How much of a regional aspect is there on this then? Because again, you might think, why we're talking about this, but I think if you're in business, you need to have a tone of voice for your business to your audience. Less direct than an actual audience, but there's still an importance in getting the right tone of voice, isn't there?
Yeah.
How much of a regional, because if you're in America, you go, well, I'm in Texas, I can talk about guns.
Yeah. Of course.
We kind of, you know, if you're in Sunderland, you wouldn't bother talking about football, for instance.
Or you would in a derogatory way, you know.
Sorry.
I'm not.
He's doubling down. The guy from Scunthorpe.
Shrewsbury. How dare you? How Scunthorpe. How dare you?
They're all the same. Well, once you pass the angel, you're all the same. But it's quite interesting because you're still getting they're still your audience. You've got to keep them on board, haven't you? It's interesting.
Yeah, you have. I mean, you do have regional jokes that you have, and you have an insert rubbish place here line. Do you know what I mean? So,
and I presume when you're booking in a hotel, away you go like, where should I not go?
Yeah, I mean,
you're from the Goldals or whatever.
Yeah, you know where you're at. Do you know what I mean? So if you're in Newcastle, the rubbish town is Sunderland. If you're in Sunderland, the rubbish town is either Newcastle or Darlington. Everywhere else, you usually just say Hull. That covers everywhere. Do you know what I mean? But it's
was that like the capital of culture once?
Yeah,
staggeringly.
But it's so unless somewhere's got an obvious rivalry like in Newcastle Sunderland, you usually
pick
find
a random.
Pick a random and you go for that. So but there are certain areas where comedy in general is very left wing. You know, it's left leaning and stuff like that. So it's very rare to see a right wing comedian.
I mean, I think Jeff
Norcott's probably the only one of any, in my opinion, of any worth that I can think of.
Who's hit TV, let's say.
Yeah. Simon Evans as well, who is so well, there you go. You don't even know Simon Evans.
I think I could. It sounds awful. I think I could pick him out.
Yeah. But two. Yeah. Do you know that's what you can think of? Do you know of the plethora of comics?
Do you? I was going to come on. For some reason, I wrote James Blunt.
James Blunt.
Yeah, well, I've watched his Netflix. Have you watched the?
I haven't. No.
One Brit Wonder.
Okay.
It's brilliant. He talks in there about how, you know, he was known as the most irritating 3 minutes 37 seconds of ever.
Yeah.
Like loved and then hated, and then everyone hated him. And one day he just kind of went, I'm just going to reply to people on Twitter. He's famous on Twitter for unbelievable replies.
He's great. Yeah.
Then you watch this thing and you kind of think, how has he just kept plugging at that? And he's now almost the national treasure. Yeah. Have you watched it? It's fantastic.
I haven't watched it, no, but I will.
Netflix, it's only been out a couple of days. And I thought he was clearly walking a bit of a tightrope there. And I would imagine as a comedian you are as well. Because you mentioned, you know, I'm not asking you what your views are on things, but your public-facing view is probably a left-leaning liberal because that is comedy.
I think at this moment,
yes. On that?
At this moment, yes.
Because there must be some things you go, oh, that's nuts.
Yeah, of course there is.
But I won't mention, like...
Yeah. But I think you see, comedy in general, the arts in general is left-leaning.
Yeah.
Always has been.
We're not picking out comedy here.
No, exactly. But in terms of a comedy point of view, the right are in power. So of course we're going to go against them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Also, do you think it's
so actually... let's give it 5 years, we'll be anti-Labour. Do you know what I mean? Right, it's okay. On stage anyway. Yeah. Do you know? And
because actually if you look at the split, most of this generation, certainly of our age and down, have probably spent most of their time under a Tory government.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So if you see
so.
comedy as a rebellion...
I think I'm split 50-50, actually.
So
I was
you're in the middle,
Tony Blair and then the 348
so
Conservative Prime Ministers.
Right?
Well, and actually, so yeah, it does swing it. I was 93, so swing with Major and then...
Yeah, so you're probably Blair. Slightly more, yeah.
Yes, ever so slightly. But
so do you think comedy is then just a rebellion against whatever the power... Is it just a...
I think so. I think the vast majority, it's... You're the Prime Minister. Of course we're going to have a go at you. Do you know what I mean? And it's...
Yeah, because there's an idea of punching up and punching down, isn't there? And you can't punch down against the Prime Minister, can you?
Yeah, exactly.
Surely it's fair game.
Exactly. In the same way that you punch against the royal family. Do you know? And it's... But then again, there are certain areas where you can't do that. If you're doing gigs in the Cotswolds, you're not going to go on and start doing anti-Tory jokes or anti-royalist jokes.
Again, you've got to know your audience.
Yeah, you've got to know your audience, but you've also got to understand that obviously everyone in that room isn't necessarily going to be full Tory, but you've got to blanket it.
There's also jokes you can tell that are kind of laughing with rather than poking fun at.
Yeah.
It would, So I mean, I don't really know what I'm getting at there, but so you can still laugh at the Tories in a Tory safe hole, just the same as in most of the North East. You can still laugh at Labour.
Yeah, because I think
that... a different way, don't you?
I think that the overall thought of most people that go to comedy is they're all rubbish. Do you know what I mean? That's the truth of the matter. They're all rubbish. Do you know what I mean? So let's just throw all of them at the wall.
Well, even as we sit now, I think Labour's only projected to get 40% of the vote.
Yeah.
So 60% still don't like.
Still don't like him. And it's so. But I just hope for a prime minister that I can impersonate. That's all it is. That's all I hope for.
Just give me a lisp or something.
Give me something.
Give us a hook. Yeah, give us a hook. So this is all interesting because what you're demonstrating here is the ability or the need to on the fly know an audience at any given time.
Yeah.
And again, businesses need to be able to do that, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it might be, you've mentioned there the shift between different political parties in power, or you poke fun at people who don't wear masks and then people who did wear a mask, and you go through the trend, don't you?
Yeah. Businesses go through that as well. Don't they? Yeah, of course they do. So I've got a friend of mine that used to run a party shop, and he said, at the height of loom bands, I couldn't keep them in stock. I couldn't get enough of them because they'd come in, they'd be out in an hour. They'd all be gone. He goes, I've got boxes of them now. He goes, I've got boxes and boxes of them. So
people don't even know what a loom band is.
Exactly.
Now, but it had like a year or so where it's just wow.
You just cannot keep hold of them. People want them constantly. So you've got to keep up on all the trends. You've got to keep up on all the different things and understand that in a few years' time you're going to look back and go, why did I do that? That was stupid.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Carr was on a podcast recently. It might have been Diary of a CEO, where he said, "I've already said the joke I'm going to be cancelled for. I've already said it. It's already happened."
No, because in 10 years' time, people are going to look back and go, "Can't believe he took the mick out of Theresa May."
Yeah, exactly.
Knowing what we know then about, what do you mean?
Exactly. So you go with the trends, and then there was a time where it was really cool to be supporting Jeremy Corbyn. Then there was a time that was really cool to hate Boris, and then there was a time to be really cool to hate Jeremy Corbyn. Do you know? And it just floats, and you go, well, actually, a year ago I was saying jokes pro Corbyn. Now I'm anti him again. Do you know? Because it's just playing to the people. So you have got to keep up on the trends.
Last thing on comedy before anyone gets sick of us talking about comedy, but I think on the same episode, Jimmy also said, obviously as if I know Jimmy, I don't. Jimmy Carr also said something like, well, if anyone says, I can't believe you said that, he's going to go, well, I'm sorry. And they go, well, I don't believe you. And you're like, oh, so you agree that I can say things I don't mean then?
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting because, it is an act. You're essentially an actor, aren't you?
Of course it is, yeah. That is all it is. And as a comedian, you're only worth your weight of what your act is and how
Which
much
is why I don't think it's the same as if 3 years ago you were pro Corbyn, now you're anti. You were neither. Yeah. It was just what worked at the time.
Yeah, it's just whatever made people
happy. Your mate hasn't got a loom band shop.
Yeah.
Although he kind of did for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just how it is, and in Newcastle, I'll be making jokes. So the Euros are on at the time of filming this. Yeah. I was making jokes about Scotland. I was in Edinburgh last weekend. obviously I wasn't doing that. Do you know? It's all about reading the room.
Didn't fancy running home?
No, I didn't fancy it. I was okay. I mean, it was Edinburgh, so half of them are English there anyway.
Yeah,
so.
probably a safe audience. Yeah. So listen, there's plenty of things we want to talk about. And one of the things, as we suppose go on to the second half, then we've done comedy.
Have I waffled on for too long?
No. I think what we've done there is we've illustrated the fact that it doesn't matter what you do, there is a need to have your finger on the pulse and watch it. So you've got to monitor, measure, test, monitor, measure. Whatever, whichever order you put that in, you've got to keep your offering up to date, haven't you?
Yeah.
The thing you sell is humour.
Yeah.
Or you sell your voice, or whatever it is you're selling. You've got to make sure the thing you're offering has a market, haven't you?
Yeah, you have, and I think there'll always be a market for comedy. However, comedians are kind of put in the artist bracket as well. However,
is that a good fit though? I've never thought it's a good fit.
Comedians are their own thing.
I feel like it could almost be, you've got the whole of like the culture and the arts and then comedy. Yeah. I feel.
Yeah, and I can see that. But I also believe that comedy is culture and arts and stuff. But if I spent days, weeks making a painting and someone walks up and goes, I love that, that's great. And if someone goes, oh, I hate that, he goes, I don't care because this is how I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And you go, I could go, that is the worst picture I've ever seen in my life. You go, no, that is great because that's how I wanted it to be. You can't do that with comedy. If I'm telling you...
You don't get a judge, do you? Is that what
I'm
you're
not
saying?
the judge. Yeah, I'm not the judge.
Yeah.
I can write something I think is really funny and that's how I want it. But if people aren't laughing...
In your mind, it's the perfect
It's
joke.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I need to get rid of it. I can't...
Which must be heartbreaking.
It's horrible. Because if you go... I've spent a week writing a joke and no one likes it.
If you're selling food, so local cafe there around the corner, I know the guy quite well, he's like, I'm going to try bubble tea.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I can't believe that didn't take off. Or, wow, that took off.
Yeah.
It's like, he can't just make what he wants to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
So, again, businesses all have that to a degree, don't they?
Yeah. You've got to be ready for the unpredictability.
Is there a point here then where, if we're talking about building an audience, literally or figuratively, whichever way you want to put it, the audience only has to be big enough to sell enough of the thing you want to sell, doesn't it? If you had a 300-seat venue you needed to fill every week, every month, you would need a bigger list.
Yeah.
Do you have any goals to say, well, actually, I'm going to find somewhere with more seats? This isn't how you would tell your landlord, by the way. So this is a theoretical discussion in case.
Well, I do have two other comedy clubs as well. One in Durham with a great guy, Colin Elric, who runs. Yeah, it's
just been going a couple of months now.
Yes, we've only done one. It's going quarterly, and we've also got another one in Chesley Street, which is slightly bigger, but they're different catchment areas, different audiences.
So people aren't going to drive 40 minutes.
No.
They're going to go to their
Very
local,
rare,
probably.
if they will, and if it is, it'll be for a specific comic they want to see.
Yeah. So that's the way you've gone, rather than find a 300-seat place in Newcastle.
Yeah.
You just think, well, actually, we'll catch a different audience.
Because I believe comedy loses its magic when it's too big. I've seen comedians at the arena didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it in a theatre. There's something about it.
There's a great thing where there's two comedians chatting to each other and they kind of go, what's your perfect audience? And one of them kind of goes, like 200-300. I love people being on top of me, and I want to almost feel the spittoon from the laughter and that. And they say, Kevin Hart, and he went, 15,000's about the sweet spot. I suppose if you can.
Well, if you can, go for it. But I've been very lucky that I've been able to play Newcastle Arena twice.
Oh, right.
And it was an incredible feeling. It was an incredible buzz.
Altogether.
But it wasn't the same as my comedy club with 80 people in it. There was something about it. And yes, the finances would be much better selling thousands of tickets every day. But, and this is probably sacrilegious to say, money isn't the big thing for me in comedy. My job is to make people's lives better.
Classic lefty.
But that's my job.
Show me a capitalist.
I know. But my job is to make people's lives better. That's what it is.
Leave the room feeling better than they did on the way in. Yeah.
And whether it means my job is to get up and make people laugh. That's it. And if they laugh, I've made their lives better. If they don't laugh, I've made it better because they've gone, could be worse, I could be him. That's it.
They've walked away with empathy for the guy.
Yeah, and I still have this mentality that when I quit my job to become a comic, I was on minimum wage in a job that I didn't particularly care about.
So as long as you're making any money, but you enjoy it, you're winning.
I think ballpark for the minimum wage back then, I was on about £1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And now, and I still have that mentality. Touch wood, I make more than that.
Anything more than £1,000 is a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have to get up and work a 9 to 5 as someone else I don't care about. If I can make enough to pay all my bills and just make people laugh, I'm laughing. I'm literally laughing. Do you know what I mean? You go, this is what I want. And of course, there are times where you think, okay, you need to start being a bit more capitalist. You need to start thinking about the building of your business.
Because it is a business.
It is a business, and you've got to stop thinking about things where you go, oh, you've still got to pay for stuff. Do you know what I mean? You've got to...
What went through your thought process and how long was the process of giving up your job then?
I always wanted to be a comic.
Because most people, not everyone, but most people will have worked a job, started their side hustle, built their side hustle, thought one of them's got to go, and it's no different for you. You were presumably doing all the free gigs, the standard, travelling at your own car, all of that for a while.
Yeah, of course, a good few years, and then...
Well, actually, I'm getting paid to do this now.
Yeah.
I'll give that up.
I did it in stages where I went down to part-time.
Right.
And I said, right, okay, let's make up the wage that I would miss from that. And then once...
Presumably, let's not work the day after a long drive to call out.
Yeah, exactly. So I was, I'll make up the wage that I have here and there. And then once because then I had the time as well to look for more gigs that wasn't being taken up by another job.
Because you're also, one of your hats is promotion.
Yeah.
You've got to promote.
So I've got to go and do that. And then once I realised, looking at my numbers, I was making about 60% of what I would have working full time, I went, right, I'm quitting. I'm done.
Because you knew with that extra time you could make up the difference.
Yeah. And I wanted it, Martin. I wanted it more than anything.
Yeah. So people like Gary Vee say and Jimmy Carr, find the thing you want, do the thing.
Yeah. I wanted it more than absolutely anything. And I slept on Birmingham New Street station floor for a whole weekend because I couldn't afford a hotel just to do my gig.
Gig in Birmingham, right, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I remember... what was happening, it was back in Shrewsbury. I was about 17, 18. I moved up to the northeast when I was 18, 19. 17, 18. The way to get to London was Shrewsbury to Birmingham, Birmingham to London Euston. That was the way. And I always, even now, stay for the full show. I like to get there at least half an hour before the doors, and I stay right to the end.
Bit pretentious just to walk in and go, when's my 20 minutes? I'm off.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But also,
the people who do that, but
also from a selfish point of view, I want to see what everyone else is doing.
Of course,
I want to learn from it. I want to learn from it. I want to see who, like I said about the Stockton gig. If I walked on and effed and jeffed everywhere and then struggled, I would have known that if I'd have been there. You
don't know the audience. Yeah.
So I got up. I was working as a tennis coach in Shrewsbury.
Famous for its tennis
coaching. I coached a session for 2 to 5 year olds on Saturday morning. I cycled down to Shrewsbury train station, got on the train to Birmingham New Street, changed at Birmingham New Street down to Euston, went and did the gig at the Comedy Cafe, which is no longer there, for free for a tryout 10-minute spot. I did okay, watched the whole show, got the train back, ran to London Euston, got to Birmingham New Street, missed my train to get back to back to Shrewsbury, slept on the floor, got the first train back out to Shrewsbury, got off the train, got on my bike, went back to the sports centre, unshowered, unteeth brushed and all this stuff, coached another 4 hours of tennis, got back on my bike, back to Shrewsbury station to Birmingham, back to London, go down, do the 10 minutes for nothing, watch the show, knowing I was going to miss my train, came back, slept on the station, went back and did the same thing and slept for no time whatsoever.
I presume you would do that again in that.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
And I regularly
because
think
that
back
10
at
minutes
that.
was more important than
For nothing. For
That was
no
your
money.
that was your Dragon's Den. That was your pitch, wasn't it? That was here's my product. You want it?
I slept on Birmingham New Street station floor before it was nice.
Before it was popular.
Before it was nice. And that's the thing when I hit rough times of people not paying invoices on time, your cash flow problems. You're sitting there saying, I don't have cash flow problems. Rubbish. Everyone does.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm sitting there thinking, I've got loads of money people owe me and it's not coming in. I just think back and go, you slept on a train station floor. That's how much you wanted this.
Yeah.
Don't let people take it from you. You know, and that's what
what's interesting is it's easy to get in trouble for saying this now, but I think most people have got time to chase their dream.
Yeah.
And I'm not speaking for everyone. If you're a single parent with 6 kids, don't get offended here. But maybe don't watch the box set of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I get that.
Leave that off. Use that hour to write the business plan, make the pitch, send the emails.
Yeah, and
I get more. Some people have got more time, but sometimes you have to, because a lot of people would have went, well, I'm coaching 2 sessions, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm working this weekend, I can't make it down.
Yeah.
But you found a way, and it sounds like it was expensive and probably not a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was horrible, but I wanted it that badly.
Yeah.
And the Saturday wasn't as good as the Friday, so I thought, oh great, I don't even know if I'm going to get a gig from it now.
Maybe the first one would have been enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
because you don't know going in whether it's going to help or hinder, do you?
No, exactly.
That's the great uncertainty.
And it is hard because time management is difficult, and as a comedian I have more time now than I did with a day job.
Yeah.
However, when I was learning about different businesses and stuff, I'm a terrible reader, Martin. Terrible reader. I'm so slow, but audiobooks are my dream. Love them.
Yeah.
So small things that, let's say, and it's not to bully the person with 6 kids, and they go, you can listen to the audiobook on your school run.
Yeah.
20 minutes a day, you'll get through that book.
You'll get through it. The washing in.
While you're putting the washing in,
meal prep,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, when you're usually gossiping with someone for a load of rubbish and stuff like that, listen to an audiobook, listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
Do you know, and there are people out there in the comedy world that go, how do you get that? How do you get that? And you go, the answer 9 times out of 10 is be funny. Be funny and understand that it's going to be hard.
Because it's interesting, there's we mentioned a couple of great comics beforehand. I know there's one in particular is like if your stuff's good enough, you'll get bookings.
Yeah. You've
still got to let people know.
Yeah. But, in comedy, you need 3 things.
But if it's good enough, once people have seen it, people will ask you back. If it's good enough.
There are 3 things. There's a triangle in comedy that they say you need 2 of these 3 things, and the 3 things are: be on time, be really good and really funny, and be nice. You only need 2 of those.
So you can get away with being a complete a-hole as long as you're on time and you're funny enough. You can carry the 3rd.
Yeah. You get, no matter what, you only need 2 of them, and you'll make it in comedy.
I presume 3 is better.
Oh, absolutely, of course it is.
Let's aim for 3.
But if you are sensationally funny, but you're never on time, people are still going to book you because you're a lovely guy who is hysterically funny. But he's going to be 3 hours late.
Oh, we'll put you on last instead of where you were meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But they won't if you haven't got those other 2 attributes.
If you're not very good, but you're always on time and you're a lovely person, you'll still get work.
Because you're reliable.
Yeah, because you're reliable.
Can we talk about discipline slightly then? Because you mentioned, you've been fairly open in the past when we've been talking about various things about, I'm not to go so far as to lazy, but unless there's a reason to do something like a deadline.
Yeah.
So I presume in work, if you respected where you worked, I'm going to say that now, but your manager would make sure you got things done, or the boss did.
I never did well with that.
All right. Well, how did you find it when you got to do it for yourself then?
Necessity.
So it's just
necessity.
No option now.
Yeah, and I have to enjoy what I'm doing. I did have a bit of a firecracker underneath me a couple of weeks ago, where I had a bit of a panic and I really knuckled down because my mother-in-law passed away suddenly a few weeks ago, and total shock, total panic. And my partner is incredible. However, if he needed time off work, understandably, because you've lost your mum, I can't afford to support both of us on my wage.
Yeah.
and I had a bit of a panic where I thought, okay,
I better rustle some trees.
I need to stop being a hippie and paying the comics loads, and I need to start taking some. Do you know what I mean? And I get it. My productivity times are completely different to everybody else's. Completely different. I know I'm the wrong way round. I know that. Most people are a 9 to 5, 8 to 6, that sort of time.
Yeah.
My peak productivity is 10:30 at night till 3 a.m.
Yeah.
That's where I am perfect. That's where
I joke about the 5 a.m. club, you know.
Yeah.
They go like, oh, well, I've done a day's work before you got out of bed. And I'm I was up all night doing that day's work.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went to bed at 2 o'clock, done.
Yeah.
I'm a day ahead of you, not the other way around.
Yeah. I am not one of these people that gets up at 5. I'm not one of these, but I don't do that. I didn't become a comedian to do that.
I hope you're released at the door in your dressing gown saying goodbye and, you know, wishing him well as he runs off to work. No?
Oh, no. I'll still lie in bed. And my argument is I'm just staying out of the way while you're getting ready. Do you know?
Don't want to hog the shower.
But I am in my office nearly every single night from anywhere between 9 and 10 to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Just when you work, yeah.
That's when I work. I write, I book gigs, I do accounts, I do everything from fringe booking to poster design. I schedule all my marketing emails to go out. I schedule LinkedIn posts.
I presume you're writing material as well.
Writing material, yeah. That's when I do it. That's when I do all my work, because a comedian needs to observe. And I can't observe if I'm stuck in the house working at days.
Of course, you need to be at the queue in Lidl and catching the bus, and did they wait for that woman with the trolley? And
that's what I need to do.
You've got to catch those things.
So my peak productivity is silly o'clock at night.
So you can also make a good argument for when you're sitting doing nothing, that you're observing.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, no, leave us alone. I'm soaking up.
I mean, and I was very open with you and said I'm very lazy, and I am, but I'm really not. You know, my brain never really switches off. And
well, you're always looking for the next lane, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, if you're in business, you're looking for the next service lane, the next idea.
Of course, yeah. And this is an argument that I used to have with my partner a lot until he got it. That me sitting down doing nothing for 3 hours is really hard work. And they go, no, it's not. I said, it is. I said, you do not have my brain. I have got a million things in my head that's going round, and I could just be sat there. I could not have moved for a day, and they'll go, you've done nothing all day, and I am physically exhausted just from because I've ran through an hour show 6 times in my head.
My dad never used to get. You never understand how I can give tax advice or business advice, and I would go, good day, and I go, I'm exhausted. You go, how?
Yeah.
You've got a comfy chair.
Yeah. Don't
know what to tell you, but I'm exhausted.
Yeah. My office, I walk around in loops in my office at like 2 o'clock in the morning. If anyone could see in my office at 2 o'clock, I'm stood there just walking, like pretending to hold a mic, trying to do stuff, and I'm walking about. And it's
jotting it down, scribbling it out.
It's exhausting. It's terrible. And then that's not done, because then I've got to go do it and you do all of that for weeks. You go do it at a show and it bombs, it doesn't work. And they go, well, that was a waste of time.
Taking the bin for the stuff you throw
out. Exactly. So I'm certainly not as lazy as I give myself credit for.
Classic overplaying the sympathy hook there. Cal, I don't know how much time we've got. Well, I do. I know we've probably got about 5 or 6 minutes.
Okay.
You're busy writing, aren't you? Not jokes. You're writing a book.
Yeah.
Are you talking about that, or
absolutely.
And in a perfect world, we would have talked about how lonely it is to be in business, and kind of exaggerated when you're in a bad hotel in Perth on your own for 3 nights for a
Falkirk was the horrific one I was in.
So you got all of that on top of all of the hats you wear and all of these things.
Yeah.
And of course, I saw a stat I'd done from, if this is right or wrong, but I think it was a comedian who said 80% of comics are alcoholics or drug addicts. I don't know if that would anecdotally say if that feels about right.
80% are probably heavy drinkers, maybe not alcoholics, but heavy drinkers.
I'm happy to be corrected on that, but there's certainly a lot of alcohol and other activities on the road.
Yeah.
Because you had your own challenges with that as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to give us a very brief intro, but what I wanted to ask you about is the discipline of shaking that off.
Yeah, I mean,
do you want to
Yeah, of course. So I haven't had a drink for over 2.5 years. 30th of October is my sobriety birthday. Haven't touched a drop.
October 21?
20, yeah, so that'd be 21, would it? 21, 22, 23.
So heavy lockdown.
Yes, yeah.
Lesson
very
learned.
heavy after
Yeah.
So as soon as lockdown lifted, hit the pub massively.
Yeah.
And I never thought I was an alcoholic because I wasn't one of these people that would, alcoholics sit on park benches with brown bottles. Do you know what I mean? That's what alcoholics do. Brown bags with bottles in. Do you know, that's not me. I would go to the pub. I made the effort. Do you know what I mean? It's but I was, and it affected my life, and my career was terrible, really bad. No, I wouldn't do anything.
Presumably at a time where you need to come out of that, couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Now we need to start rebuilding the club, etc.
Yeah. I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to get drunk. That's all it was. And I would drink all day. I had like empty legs, hollow legs to just drink constantly. And I never thought it was a problem. I just thought I was a heavy drinker. And the truth of the matter is I was just useless and unreliable, and no work was coming in because I was always hammered and I missed the call.
3 pillars.
3 pillars. I wasn't,
what kind of a...
50-50 being funny because I was hammered. Number 2, I wasn't nice because I was drunk. And number 3, I was never on time because I was in the pub.
So you were suffering,
yeah. So I wasn't in any of those things. So it was my partner that said, you need to, it's be or the drink, basically. And it was an ultimatum that I have never, ever dealt well with the compliment, nasty compliment sandwich that people give me. Just give me the rubbish. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I've always been like that. So if someone gives me that nastiness, I will go and fix it. You know, I'm not one of these people, you've done really well here, but don't care. What am I doing wrong? That's what I want.
Just give us the bit that goes after but.
Yeah, exactly. And I really struggled with the fact that I'll never be able to drink again. Never.
How do you do that then? Because most people, they say, well, I don't drink. I don't not drink.
Yeah.
I'm not
Might have a Baileys at Christmas. Do you know, that sort of thing?
Baby sham.
Yeah.
For nostalgia, because that was the first thing we were allowed as kids. If I go out now, I have an alcohol-free shandy. I double down on the softness. It's weird. People think I'm mad, but it's gaining popularity. But for you, you're literally running an event, which is a social event in a place that sells drink.
Yeah.
Like, that takes discipline not to do that.
It does, but then also, does it take discipline for you not to have a pint here now? You're at work. I'm at work.
Of course, yes, of course.
And admittedly, I'm in a job where I can drink on the job, but I don't because I just have to remember what a useless piece of work I was when I was on the drink. And me saying that, I don't say I'm never going to drink again because I don't know. I might. Do you know what I mean?
Never as an absolute that you can't.
Which if I said I'm never going to drink again, what time is it now? I'll be hammered in 3 hours. Do you know what I mean? Because I know that's never going to happen. I'm going to be hammered. That's it.
Whereas, show you.
Yeah. Whereas if I say I'm just not going to have a drink today, that's fine. I'll have one tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Do you know? So and you just push through. And me saying, we as a species automatically want to go to the word no. That's it. You want to ask something? No. Not doing it. No.
Because we're instinctively cautious.
Thousands
of years of dying for eating the wrong berry.
No. And however, I didn't want to say I'm never going to drink again, even though I knew that was the way it was going. And me deciding and taking that step to stop drinking was not me saying no to alcohol. It was me saying yes to a better life.
So it was just there was something else better.
And absolutely, there are times where I go, it's been beautiful the past few days, hasn't it? And I go, I would love a pint in a beer garden now. But Martin, I never had one beer in a beer garden. I had 10 and I fell over, got kicked out, and then I'd go to the next one. Do you know what I mean? That's what I used to do. I was a disgrace.
Cost me a new jacket every time I went in.
Exactly. So I just have to remember myself as to why, and that's what the book's about. It's Calcoholic, good name, How Alcohol Ruined My Life, and it's working through. It's currently with the editor now to go through it all, which is great. So
SWAT.
I know. I wanted it out by the end of July, in time for the festival. It's very tight whether it's going to happen or not, but that was my plan. But but I've knuckled down and I've done it, you know. And
well, you said when I get a deadline, I'll
I'll get it done. So, and it's not The Great Gatsby. It's not this huge mammoth book. It's a book that is simply, in Alcoholics Anonymous, we do something called a share, where one person will share for 20 minutes or so. And I did my show Calcoholic, which was an hour-long share about all the madness. So it is essentially my hour-long share, a written share on top of all the other stuff that couldn't get into the show. So that's what the book is, and it's got bits where it relates to how it helped me in business. It's got bits where it relates to helping me in my mental health, how it helped me in my personal life, how it helped me just be a better person, and how it helped me in my physical health as well. So, and it's littered all the way through the book, as well as an autobiographical story of me as well, because I wanted to write it not as an autobiography memoir, because who cares about what my life is. It's that mentality of what I said before. My job is to make people's lives better. And if they can pick up that book thinking I've got no way out, and they read it and go,
only need one person.
Well, Cal did it. That I can do it, and that's what the book's for.
Good. Well, we'll look forward to seeing it. Cal, you can catch Cal all over. Search socials, subscribe to his email.
MailChimp. That's what you
sign up form on MailChimp. But Cal, thank you very much. That's been fantastic.
Pleasure. And, thank you for having me.
People have enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments if you have or haven't. You like such trades.
Don't tell me if you haven't.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Cal Halbert.
Welcome. Thank you, Marty. Thank you.
Cal, we're going to stitch this on rather crudely, just because we thought of a couple of other things to mention. We didn't ask our normal question we ask everyone, so we'll ask that this time. But one thing I wanted to, one analogy I wanted to reference or talk about very briefly is in comedy. The best line has no fat. It's got no waste in it. I think there's a lesson to learn there if you're doing an elevator pitch to a, you know the classic, you get in the lift with Branson. You haven't got, there's no wasted time there. You need to use every word wisely. If you're doing a sales pitch, you're doing a close on a sale, you're doing marketing, there should be no waste in there. Do you agree?
Completely. You need to make. For me, a joke is the shortest amount of words to a punchline. That's what it is.
Because people have got no attention. They don't want to hear a sprawling half-hour journey where at the end it's essentially a knock-knock joke. Yeah,
exactly. And also, we all don't have the charisma of Billy Connolly, where he could read the phone book and you'd laugh. Do you know what I mean? We haven't all got that. So you've got to get to your punchlines as quickly as possible. It's got to be, let's get rid of all the unnecessary information. If I walked on and said, tell you what happened to me last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? Well, it was a Tuesday.
I was going to the library, or was it the butcher's?
It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. I was in town the other day. Bam, done. Do you know what I mean? You're straight to the point. I met
someone the other day. I was being served. You just get to the point where the funny thing happens.
And I think it's interesting from the elevator pitch point of view is obviously if I'm looking for new venues or I'm trying to pitch my show to people, there's no point me talking about the competitors. What's the point? I don't need that information. If I walked up to you and said, "Hey, Marty, I know that you could do events here and stuff, and I know there's other guys that do lots of great comedy in the Northeast and lots of great speakers." Well, you're already thinking of them then. If I walked up and said, "Marty, Cal Halbert, run comedy and promotions. I run the.
Do you want some?
Do you want some? I run the longest running comedy venue in the Northeast. I've got access to every comic you can think of.
Do you want a bit of that?
Do you want it? Do you know, it's straight to the point. We're not wasting each other's time. Do you know what I mean? And I could be sitting on a park bench, do you know what I mean? Instead doing nothing, observing. Sorry. But rather than wasting people's time. And I think it's really important, not only in a joke, but in business, is just get to the point.
Do you think all comics have that then? Or do you think all comics apply that in there? Because I would imagine there's comics who are doing that long-winded, slow, hard sell instead of just.
However,
because they know how to do on stage, but somehow
However, even in these long-winded style, that is their style, which is fine. There'll still be humorous bits within it.
But however, I'm saying, are they bringing that into their business then? Are they Because in business, you need to sometimes just get to the message, don't you? Get to the point.
I believe so. I think you need to just get to the point. Now, comedians are terrible marketers. Terrible. They're really bad. They will put up a post and say, come to this, it might be rubbish, we don't know. You know, and you go, that is funny, but you're not giving the confidence to anybody.
And is that the imposter in there, or is it?
I think so. I think so. And because I feel uncomfortable posting about my show, saying, come to this, it's going to be absolutely brilliant.
Come see me.
Yeah, I don't like that. So I'm very lucky that I've done comedy for a long time, so I can now put out quotes from newspapers and stuff. You go, it's not my words.
Yeah,
you know, it's like,
I'm not picking it.
Come and see me. Uncanny Imitations, The Sun. Beautifully composed, accomplished storyteller, The Scotsman.
I mean, you haven't learned these by rote.
No, not at all. Excellent, Daily Mirror.
They didn't say at what though?
No, they did. Impersonate a genius, Sunderland Echo.
Excellent, clear in the room.
Excellent was the Express, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
But that's better for me to put that out there.
Yeah.
Because at the festival you have to fly at the Edinburgh Festival you have to fly.
So actually there's a great little marketing tip there, which I think is underused as well, is testimonial.
Yeah.
Let your clients or your customers sell your business.
Yeah.
They'll do a much better job than you.
Yeah, my dad is a painter and decorator, and I remember him in the early days of starting out self-employed, he put in an advert in a local magazine saying J.G. Halbert, painter and decorators, all the details that you would, you know, and he got one job and it cost him thousands.
Yeah.
Whereas my dad is a very good decorator, so that's a positive. Do you know what I mean?
We kept the 3 pillars.
Yeah, he's always on time, and he's lovely. He's got all 3.
Flying.
So he is a very successful decorator, but he's never advertised. It's all word of mouth.
Yeah.
That is all it is. And now my sister's become a decorator and works with my dad. So they've got this USP of it father and daughter decorating. You know, not father and son.
You can't remember the USP.
The USP is father and daughter. I would never be a decorator. I'm rubbish. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But people like a female decorator coming in. Think about it. If your little old mum sat at home on her own, what would you rather have? Some big burly bloke going in, or a father and daughter? What would you rather have?
Can't shake the
I can't shake it. That's just.
Did you really want to be a decorator?
No, absolutely not. I want the credit, but I don't. But what would you rather have? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it is. The testimonial is the hugest and most popular thing that you can have, and people go, "Oh, go see him. He's great. I really like him." Yeah. So.
Because also, you know, the good people aren't great at selling their own good news, are they?
No, really, of course not.
Very uncomfortable, right? Yeah.
Well, why would you? It is uncomfortable. People are too scared to be arrogant. That's the thing.
I had to give some words, because confidence is very close mates with arrogance, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
I had to give some wording to. I was asked to go down and give a talk to a room full of mortgage brokers. Solid. And I was talking on tax, and they said, "Oh, well, tell us about it. Send us a bio." And I found it really uncomfortable because as soon as you go, Martin is an expert. Martin is not a specialist. Martin is very kind of like Martin's done this a long time. It's about as much as I wanted to sell it.
And the truth of the matter is, Martin,
terrible.
No one's reading that anyway. Well, they don't care. They don't care. They're just doing that. But then that's the thing. I have the same.
Tax, is it?
No, but that's the thing. The same with me. They always ask for a bio. No one reads it. Do you know what I mean? They'll make their own judgment when they meet me. That's it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And they're only putting it in there to cover some bases. This is Martin. He's who's talking and speaking to us.
It's just to cover their backs that they've asked someone relevant, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's all it is.
We one of the things we normally finish with, in Cal, which we didn't, is what's the one thing that people just keep getting wrong in your industry? Now, you can talk about this as someone who runs a hospitality venue, or you can talk about it from a comedy angle. It doesn't matter. So what's the one thing that people just keep getting wrong?
Over-promising and under-delivering. That's the big thing. Comedians, they deliver what they think people will find funny, and that's the wrong way to look at it. Do what you find funny, because I guarantee there'll be other people in there that find it funny, and if you find it funny, you'll deliver it better. If you're only delivering
into it,
if you're only delivering what other people have said, "Oh, that's funny, great, yeah, let's do that." It's stupid. Do you think Vic and Bob care whether people find them funny or not?
They clearly.
They do, but they do what they
enjoy what they're doing.
Exactly,
and that's why I would argue that's why they're doing it.
Yeah, but not everybody finds them hilarious. They'll go, they're just being stupid.
My mother was like, get that off.
Yeah.
Get that off the TV.
I find it hysterical. I have tears coming down my face watching them. Billy Connolly, how many times have you watched a Billy Connolly clip where he's gone, "Oh, I must tell you this. Oh, I thought I was going to die when this happened. It was so funny." And he's just telling you what he found funny. Do you know? And that's it. Yeah. And although you don't have to deliver it that black and white, do you know what I mean? So long as you find it funny, someone else will, because you've bought into it.
So it sounds like what you're saying is don't sell out then.
Yeah, I think so.
Be authentic.
Yeah. There are times where you're going to have to be adaptable, but don't sell yourself to the devil.
They could take that literally, and it sounds like a contradiction to what you said earlier, but you're not. You're still talking about the thing that you want to talk about. Yeah,
exactly. Like there are certain gigs where I'll walk in, like an after dinner gig. So like at a golf club where they normally have a footballer or an ex-sportsman and then me. Those rooms are still a little bit old school, you know. So you walk in and you go, okay, I'm going to have to do a couple of pub gags here.
Yeah.
And you do a couple of pub gags at the start, and then they go, "Oh, this lad knows what he's doing.
He's all right." Yeah.
And then it gives you the pathway to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because if you just started going, "Hey, here's some impressions," they'll go, "We don't want this."
Yeah.
Well, what about the man walks into a bar jokes? That's what we want. Do you know what I mean? So you do have to read the rooms and be adaptable, but certainly deliver what you find funny. I'm not saying go and do some pub jokes that you don't find funny as well. Yeah. If you find them funny, do them. Do you know what I mean?
I must admit, I've toyed with this because we didn't talk about it, but your Confidence Through Comedy course.
Yeah.
6 or 7 weeks, go and learn, bounce ideas. Absolutely the most fun I've ever had, honestly. I'm not just saying that because you're there. I've said it repeatedly. I think you should run it more often.
Yeah.
And more people should do it. But anyway. And it's funny because I kind of, one of my openings is tax advisor and not to be confused with.
Yeah.
And I've thought of something in it, but it doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of the set. And I thought, I'm certain I could get a pretty good opening laugh with that.
Yeah.
But then the whole rest of the set would be out of place.
Yeah.
So if there's any other tax advisors out there trying to do stand up, I've got a great opener for you. And it's almost killing me because I think, do I just go that way? But I don't want to. I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I still want to do the bit that I want to do. I don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to change it for.
Well, just chuck it in at some point. Do you know what I mean? Not
day,
everything has to make sense in a story setting of a comedy set. Do you know what I mean?
It makes sense, but it's the style. Because mine is a fairly clean act. I think the worst I said is shit once.
Yeah.
It's a fairly clean. Not by design, that's just where I landed.
Yeah.
Whereas this is definitely not. And I think, that may...
But then that's one of those things where you'd look in a room and you'd go, okay, they like swearing, I'll do it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas...
Well, I haven't got any others. So I might need to get a few more than two,
The other thing that people get wrong as well is when I say under promise, over deliver, is that they always overprice their comedy clubs as well. Constantly overprice. Because that puts huge pressure on the comics. Huge pressure. And admittedly, 9 times out of 10 they'll deliver. But
so, because most that I've seen, most gigs are like a tenner.
Yeah. So like my comedy club's a tenner.
Yeah.
However, if I put on a bill of open spot comedians, for those that don't know, open spot are the brand new guys. Yeah. They're the first open spot. Yeah. First time there, single digits, less than 100 gigs are your open spots. If I put on a night full of open spots, I'm not charging the audience a tenner because people will go, every one of these could be rubbish. But that's the gamble. Do you know what I mean? So,
but tenner's also nothing, is it?
Now it's not. But
it's strange because we found every time we've seen you a couple of times, it's cracking value. Where else do you get a couple of hours of? There's always something in there for everyone. Yeah,
but that's down to my booking though.
And you wouldn't be able to give that guarantee, I suppose, if it's a room full of open nights.
If it's a room full of open spots, let's say the very first guy does some questionable material. every other actor's going to struggle because the room's been stank out.
Is that an official term, stank out?
If you stink the room out, it's
hard to pull it back.
Yeah, exactly. And it puts a lot of pressure on someone like me if I was comparing it, because I've got to drag them back up from where they were and give the next actor the very best chance. But if there's always going to be that little air that's sitting in there going, oh, do you remember when he said that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
because actually, you get to the end and you go, you enjoy that? Well, that first guy.
Yeah.
You remember it, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do. So it's about the pricing, and what you find with these guys that will charge ludicrous money on the door and not pay any of their acts. They don't pay them anything. Not even like a token, here's 20 quid for fuel.
Yeah.
So I go into the Chili, my gig, at a loss every single month. I lose hundreds on it most months, but I don't care because I always there or thereabouts break even on it. And that's because I pay everybody fairly.
Yeah.
And from a promoter's point of view, people don't do that.
Because you want people to come back as well, don't you?
Of course I do.
If someone goes down really well, you want them to come and try their new material.
Yeah, and what happens is comedians consistently price each other down. Consistently.
Is it normally comedians who run comedy nights?
It's both. I'll be honest.
Just when you say comedians price each other, price themselves down or other comedians down, well,
if
you're running a comedy night, they go like, oh, well, Cal's build himself at the top again. What a surprise!
Yeah. I mean, there is that, but that's only people insecure about. Like what we said before about the confidence and arrogance thing.
Yeah.
I do my best to not come across as arrogant, but I'm certainly certain of what I can do. Yeah. I know what I can do. And I'm going to show you how great I am. It's not one of those situations.
Was that a barman?
That wasn't a voice. I was just...
that was your voice.
That was just me.
Another version of your voice.
But I know what I can deliver and I know what I can do. Yeah. And I don't think charging £10 to see me for an hour is unreasonable. And if anyone was unhappy, I'd give them their money back. And that's how confident I am about it. However, there's a phrase in comedy, and it has a swear, but I will bleep myself, is that there'll always be some that'll do it for nothing.
Yeah.
And there always will be.
Yeah. And that's the challenge though, because you've got people who kind of go, well, any airtime is good, I'll do it for nothing.
Yeah.
And there has to be that willing in the industry to give people that. But you can't build a business just having free comedians on, can you?
It's impossible.
So that's why you run it as a night.
You run it as a night.
Yeah.
It's people will pay for a good product.
Exactly, because a lad we know who did the course with us said he turned up and he thought he was doing it for free and he got 20 quid in his hand at the end of the night. I was like, why do you need to frame that? That's your first, pay as a...
Yeah, I had my first £10 framed until I needed it for fuel.
What kind of fuel?
It was it was actual. I think it was diesel. Yeah. So I did actually need it.
Meant like Dutch covered fuel.
I didn't nick that. It's out my mum's, not from a shop, just out my mum and dad's cabinet.
Yeah.
Cut that. Yeah. But yeah, I did have it, but I needed it to get to another gig to sleep on a floor somewhere probably. But yeah, there'll always be someone that'll do it for nothing. And people, from a business point of view, people will always pay for a good product. Always pay for a good product. If you believe in your product and you do it properly, people will not complain.
Yeah.
And how many times have we gone, it's very expensive, but look what you get? How many times have we done that with things?
Talk about this regularly. If you go to a restaurant that you know is expensive, you're only complaining about the price if the food didn't stack up.
Yeah.
So I said to you, while you went to that fancy place, you go, wow, it was 150 quid, but man, it was the best chicken I've ever had. Or
exactly.
You kind of go, when you mentioned price, but it wasn't the conversation.
Yeah.
It was, wow, that was a stinking 150 quid chicken. Yeah. It's like, the price is all of a sudden relevant.
Yeah.
The same chicken would have been a good £10 chicken.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, me and my partner, we regularly do our weekly shop in M&S. Just because that's the one that's in town.
Because you can.
Well, no, not that. But look, you're putting your eyebrows up. But
I'm teasing them.
But that's because people go, "Oh, it's expensive in there." And you
go, "Fruit's better though."
It's better.
Waitrose and Moxie's have like the best food.
It's better.
I don't know how, but hands down it is.
It's better, and it's not that much more expensive. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There are things in there where I'll go, I am not paying that for that. You can stick that up your jacksie. Yeah. I'm not paying that. Do you know what I mean? But the vast majority is ballpark the same, or 10, 20p more.
It's not massive,
No. Yeah. And I go, I pay 50p more for those strawberries. They're nicer. Yeah. Do you know? And it's just how it is. And actually, the truth of the matter is going to Asda and Tesco, I think their quality of food is appalling. I think it's really bad. So actually, although they are the cheaper supermarkets, I think you're being ripped off.
The food's cheaper.
And actually, they're nowhere near as cheap as they used to be anyway. Yeah. So you may as well bite the bullet if you can, if you're lucky enough to be able to go pay for the better product.
I was speaking to someone not long ago, and they said, I love fish, but the quality of fish now is so bad in most places that I now just have less fish.
Yeah.
But I spend more on that fish when I do. Yeah. I don't know how we got onto fish, but...
but no, it's back to that thing that if you genuinely believe in your product, if you think your product is that good, you should price it accordingly. But
also look after the people who helped you do it as well.
Yeah. 100%.
That was the second part of your message there, wasn't it?
100%. Yeah. You are absolutely nowhere without the team.
Because I'm fully expecting to turn up and do the odd free gig, you know.
Yeah.
Not that I'm trying to be a comic, but I do enjoy it, and I would like to do it again. So I fully expect I'll turn up at the odd open mic night. But also, if someone's got 300 people in, they've charged 20 quid a head, I'll be kind of going...
And you're getting nothing.
Well, you're literally selling my time.
Yeah. And you're taking the money. Of course, there is room hire costs, there's advertising costs, but you can't get me a drink. Do you know what I mean? It's just something small like that, you know? And so I do think we often forget... the people, not the people that have helped us on our way, but the people that have been around us constantly on our journey. Yeah. We never thank them enough for what they put up with, you know. And it's so someone like your partner who has gone, you have been a nightmare to live with for 10 years.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're going back to one of the steps here. It's one of the steps is like apologies to all the people you've hurt along the way. Yeah.
But you regularly forget. The closer the people are to you, the regular that you don't thank them. Yeah. Or if it is, it's a nothingness. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Yeah. You know, you don't do that. And I think we need to...
Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, yeah. No
appreciate it. Joking aside, we'll call it there, but thanks very much for coming on.
Pleasure.
It really means a lot, and I wanted to know that from the bottom of my heart. Is that sincere enough?
Yeah, we'll get away with it.
Thank you very much, Cal. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.